So we have understood the difference between get and post methods, because by using get method we try to access the information about the given content on the web, that is by routing the Flask application with the help of the given URL. And we have also created some new resources with the help of command line tool, which is curl. Without giving curl we cannot update it. This is the exact way you should see. And now we'll try to go for updating the existing resource which is already present in our code, and we can also delete it. That's where the remaining two methods are put and delete. We have seen about C, that is CRUD. In CRUD this is C, that is post method. We have seen R, that is read method, which is get. And now we are seeing about update and delete, because update nothing but we are just trying to update the existing resource. That is where put and post are almost having some similarities, but generally put is updating, post is creating. So what we'll do, we'll just go with the same program. I'm just trying to modify in the same program itself. So we'll open the IDLE. So I'll just open IDLE and I'll just try to execute from where we have left. So I'll just open the recent file. I'll just open the recent files. Our recent file is understanding post method, right? So what I'll do is I'll just make changes within this and I'll just give another routing over there. So first I'll copy this entire code. So instead of writing again, we'll just make some new changes. So I'll paste it here. So I'll just change the name into understanding put method. So I'll just save it here. So I'll just name it as UNDPUT, that is understanding put method. So now same, from Flask, import Flask, we are using JSONify, make response, abort and request. These are all simple. And again we just keep the routing as it is, because it is necessary whenever we want to update it, create a resource existing and update it. I just don't touch everything. I just make sure we write another routing here, because that routing where it will include, we'll just give the routing for updating the existing resource. So where we start with @app.route, just go for it what you are trying to update, because if we are trying to update the existing resource, so I'll just give slash, the same thing we have done for the getError method, where if we ask to see task of 1, we could see the result. That means first let me just keep this comment and run this particular code. So I'll go to my command prompt, where just I'll open my command prompt from here and I'll run it from curl tool. So I just give Python, our file name is understanding put. There you go, you could see this. So suppose if I copy this and open my browser, and I'll just open my browser and I'll just try to show you how does this is being run. So I'll just execute it here. We have only 1 and 2 tasks. That doesn't mean that whatever we have updated are not created in this. We need to do it manually when we just write it, and we have some other ways how do you just execute it. So because we'll try to update these resources existing, and you can do the same way, where you can open your command prompt again here and type curl -i, where we just try to execute. We are including this URL http://127.0.0.1:5000/. There you go, you see all of this. Now we'll just try to make changes here, where we'll run the put method by making modifications in this. So we'll just pass the routing. Just make sure you have the differences between, understand the differences between get, post and put method. So I'll give, so I'm passing my variable name here. That means if I want to update the first resource, I want to update the first resource description, you pass it over there, but you'll do with curl tool. It's not you can do it manually over there. So int of task_id. So we just make sure we are passing this variable name. So we just give the same thing in our function. We'll just pass that as a keyword argument. int of task id, task_id. You can give any name over there, like this task id as combined. To make it more simple, I just give methods is equal to, what is the method name? We need to pass the method name as put. Just make sure you need to pass it in curly, square braces only. That is mandatory. That is our routing. Now let's define a function. Our function name is update task, right? Our function is update task and we are passing, we need to pass an argument over there. What is the argument? That argument should be task ID, because we just pass the same thing as variable name, just pass the same thing over here. Now our function is update task and just go for same comprehension. What you are trying to fetch? Task for task, same what we have done for the get error. Task for task, in tasks, if task of id, what is task of id is matching with, that is equal to task underscore id. The same thing we have done. Now let's try to verify each and everything. So task for task in task, if task of, because task is our list of values which is having these particular two IDs. Now we will try to match each and everything starting with ID, then we'll go for title and everything, because basically if I give one, I want to update title or description, anything I can choose. So first, if the length of task, if the length of task is equal to 0, what we should pass the request? Our request should be abort, because abort of 404. What do you mean by 404? You already know that 404 is basically for not found resource. That's where if you see a web page that is without an internet connection, that is making sure that that error response code indicates that server cannot find. That means if you open a web page with any other resource, something like, let me just go to amazon.in, Amazon. See, I'm giving just wrong name. You just see over there, Amazon, automatically redirecting it. What I'll do is, I'll just open a tab here and I'll just remove all this extension and I'll give search bar. See, 404, document not found. That's what they navigate, and we'll pass the same thing to our code. So we are just making sure we abort with 404 error. That is, we are passing the request code so that when we update it, when we are having no listen, no IDs in it, so it will abort. Then another condition, if not request.json, same thing. If not request.json, we just need to abort again, abort of same 400. It's not 404 now. Why 400? Because if it is not of the JSON content, what do you mean by 400 error? 400 error will specifically tell that the server cannot or will not process the request. 404 is not found because it is an empty list over there, whereas 400, it will not process that request due to the some error. That is something like syntactical error or any kind of framing over there. That is the reason we have passed it. Then we'll just go for if title. If the title in request.json, if the title in request.json, and what is the title of the type of title? It is string, right? And type of request.json of title is not equal to string, because if the user is not giving string, then it should be an error, because we just gave title as string. If you can just look into it, we gave it as string and description is also string. The done is false. You can give any number of items over there, it's up to you. So if title in request.json and type of request.json of title is not equal to string, same, we are just making it abort of 400, because that is nothing but 404 is resource not found and 400 is basically, it's a bad request. There's a pretty much difference between not found and bad request. The same thing for the next things. What are the remaining things? The next thing is, if we are done with the title, the next thing is description, DESCRF. Just make sure you pass in the same way. Title C small letter, yes. So if description in again request.json and type of, just make sure we pass the same thing, type of request.json of description. Just make sure pass it in the same way. Description is also not equal to string. Description is not equal to str, or is not anything, you can pass, it's up to you. Is not str. That means again we are just telling it to abort of 400. That is, it is a bad request. Then do the same thing for done. If done in, we are giving all the conditions over there so that you can update anything. if request.json and type of request.json of the key is done, and this is not boolean. If it is not bool, see, we are just using our identity operators and identity is and is not. If it is not matching with the memory position, memory location, and again go for abort of 400. So we have mentioned all the conditions. We have just given title, we have just given description. If length of task equal to 0, abort. If not request.json, abort 400. That's a bad request. Title in request.json and type of request.json of title is not string. Description in request.json and type of request.json of description is not string. Then we are making sure that if the user enters, that is whatever he may enter irrespective of the indexes, I am just making task of 0 of title. If we are updating, what we just need to do, we need to convert that thing into JSON format and get the request.json of title, and we are making it to task of 0 of title. We are just making sure that we just read the content out of it. That is for title. And the same thing you go for task of 0 of, the next thing is description. When you go for description, you just go for the same way. This title task of 0 of description is equal to request.json.get of same. Just go for the description part. That means you can update anything, it's up to user interest, and this is final description and task of 0 of description. Whatever you can throw, the same thing whatever you have defined in the list of tasks. And finally, the next thing is for task of 0 of done. That is boolean, right? That is equal to request.json.get of. The next thing is done and task of 0 of done. We are just making the same thing. Finally, if everything is done, we need to return the JSONify content. So JSONify of, make it sure you give curly brace and pass it task, and what are the values? Task. We are updating each and everything. That's how you update the key with the value, right? That's what we are giving. Make sure you give task of 0 because that's what we are framing here, and close the brace. It's clear. Finally, if name is main, we are just running app.run debug is equal to true. That's it. If everything is clear, we'll just go ahead for running, where we'll utilize our curl tool. So we'll just save it and we'll go to command prompt, which is already open. Our file name is Python. We just go for put method. There you go. It's clearly running. Nice. We'll just write our curl syntax, where we'll just give same whatever we have done for post method, curl -i, we are including it, and -h. What is the content type which we already have here? That is JSON. Just copy this because it's up to you. I'm not directly copying it. We already know it, right? So we'll just paste it here, and just -x is the request. What is the request? With our request is put method and input is data. What you want to update? I want to update the first title. I want to update the first title. Start with quotation, curly brace, and give slash quotation. This is mandatory. I want to update title slash quotation. What is the value you want to throw? I want to throw my name itself slash Saket. So for the first title, I want to throw my name slash quotation, curly brace close, quotations close. What is the URL? The Flask URL, http://127.0.0.1 is to 5000, and make sure mention it for which task you want to change. I want to change it to first task. There you go. Hit enter. Very good. You can see title has been changed, and let's verify it in our curl tool, that is curl -i. There you go. Title has been updated in real time, and you can refresh the URL which we have given. you can see title has been changed. And if you fetch slash task slash 1, you could see first one, and you can see the title has been changed to Sakit slash 2. And even if you want to update description, just go for it. You can see the status request here 200, 200, 200, everything is clear. And if you want to update description, just throw the same thing. Make sure we just replace, in place of title, just go for description. Just make sure you give description as capital, because D I gave in the same way. Description is, you can write your details over here, my name and details. In that way we are just passing. That's it. So just go to the end and execute it again. That means we are updating our description over there. Let us check. If it's clear, it would be fine. So description, my name and details. Let's cross check here. There's no error. It should take a result. Let's see whether, let's wait for it. Curl -i-h content type application JSON data description my name and details. Let's wait for it. There is no issues because we are updating the description over there. If we have any error, we could see it over here. Otherwise, let's interrupt it, or let's just try to say it. You got it. It may take some time. You got the result over there. That means you could run the curl tool over there again, and the description has been updated. There you go. It takes some time. No need to worry about that. You could see the updation being done. In that way, you can update your title and description. That is dynamic. It is automatically being updating, so that when you create a resource, you can also delete it, right? The same way you are updating it now. That's the simple thing. If you are capable of understanding the curl tool, we just need to give curl -i is including, -h is the header file. The header file is a JSON content, and what is our request? Put method and the data. Just follow the syntax of starting with quotations, curly brace, open, slash, quotation, that quotation in the sense double quotes, description, title, whatever you want to update. So this is what we are just doing for put method. So if I just wanted to come out, I just throw Control C, and when I execute it again, you can see it here. The resource will not found because I have just stopped the execution over there. The site can't be reached. That's what we have done. Now we'll just try to understand the final method, which is delete. Delete is nothing but we are just trying to make sure delete an existing resource. The same thing, what we'll do is we'll just copy the entire code and we'll create a new shell, new file, where I just wanted to make the same changes. Understanding delete method, I'll save it as UNDDEL. It could be easier. So UNDDEL. There you go. We just make one simple change so that depending on the existing resource, we'll try to delete it. What we'll try to give? We just route one more method where we just give which resource you want to delete. That's what you just try to give it, right? Same, @ once you are comfortable understanding the CRUD operations, it's very much flexible. You write your own JSONify content and you just make it done. /task and write the variable name int of task_id. That's simple. Just close it. If you are not passing the variable name, that means you should not give that as keyword argument for the function. Just remember that. And what is a method? The methods is equal to, the method name is delete. So DELET. Just go for it. Close the parenthesis and define the method. Our method name is delete. Delete underscore task of, what is the argument? Our argument is task_id. There you go. That's it. Just write the comprehension. So task is equal to task for task. If you want to delete a resource, you just mention the ID, right? That's it. You need not go for description, title. You just mention the ID. Task for task in task if task of ID. If task of ID is equal to task_id, because this is a very efficient way. Always follow the comprehension technique, which we have discussed in starting videos only. Then same again, if length of task equal to 0, the resource is obviously abort, it's not found, that is 404. That is the status code which you are mentioning. And finally, we are permanently removing it. It's a list, right? How do you remove an element permanently from a list? There you go. You have the methods as remove, pop, clear. Task is a list. So just go for task.remove of what is the ID you gave? Task of 0. That's it. Then always return the JSONify function with the result. If it is particularly removed, we should see this result. That the result should be, you can prompt any key and value. I am trying to prompt congrats, successfully removed. I am just prompting this message. That means something like when you deactivate your account, you get the notifications, right? That's the same thing users will be prompting. Developers will be prompting. That's it. So delete task ID, delete task, task ID, task is equal to task for task in task if task of ID equal to task ID. If length of task equal to 0, about task.remove of task of 0. Return JSONify, result is, you should see this content. That means we have given the same thing for get error. We are given the error handler 404. We should see this. When we don't give the proper condition, proper ID over there, we got that. In the same way, if I remove first thing, I should get this result. Okay, let's go for that. I'll just run the same thing. My file name is Python programming. File name is UNDDEL. There you go. Successfully running. What is your curl command again? We just give a simple command, that is curl -i. What is our request? Curl -i, and we just pass the request is, the method we are passing is delete. Curl -i-x, because these are the curl commands which you should do, which you should remember. -i, -x is the request which we are passing. Delete, and what is the URL? http://127.0.0.1:5000. I want to delete second task. I'll just pass /task/2. If it is successfully removed, I should see the result. There you go, result, congrats, successfully removed. That means when I pass curl -i http://127.0.0.1:5000, I should see only one task. That's it, because we have removed the second task. Just refresh the web page, you see only one task. When you pass /1, you should see only one. See, because it is /task/1. If you pass 2 again, it is permanently removed over there. See, there is an error, recheck again. That's how we have just deleted the resource. We have only first ID, and you can see description, title, because when you just see it, milk, cheese, because we are updating it over there and we are again running the specific code. If you want to update, you can just update it. So when you are deleting it, you have deleted the second code, and when you see the curl again, there you go. You are successfully deleting the existing ID. So that is how we have understood these 4 methods. Starting with get, we are obtaining information. When we have gone for post, we are creating a new resource. When we have gone for put, we are just routing the same methods, and we are mentioning the task and task ID. What we want to update, if it is title or description or done, whatever. If you want to give another list, pass the same number of dictionaries. That will be list of dictionaries or dictionaries of lists, anything. You return that as a JSONify content. Just follow the same syntax and just need to understand what are these curl tools. Curl, if you just give curl -help, it will throw you all the status codes, because we just use -i, -H is request, which specific, it is put or post or get or delete. Just we will use that, and finally when we have gone for delete method, we have successfully deleted the resource. Just remember, these play a very vital role when you are working on building any web application. Always remember these 4 methods: create, read, update, delete. That is get, post, put and delete. They play a very vital role in building an application. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. If you have liked our content, please do hit like button and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more useful content and exciting updates. If you want to learn such practical content at an affordable cost with Microsoft certification and instructor support, please register at academy.codegnan.com. You can also download app from Play Store as CodeGnan. Never hesitate to raise queries in the comment section, and please do reply with your suggestions for more practical videos. We'll be happy to come up with it. Thank you.